Alright, Diablo 4 players, it's time to run the brand new Ice Shard Sorc. And the reason why we are going to be locking in and play this now is because it did receive a recent buff. The aspect of Frozen Memories damage numbers just went through the roof. Now you can roll, if you put this on your amulet, which is the ideal location, you're going to get 130x damage with the bonus of the Avalanche Key passive. So basically, the numbers went up. That's why we are playing it, and that's why a lot of people are interested in maybe trying this out. Now I want to go ahead and also mention that this is not going to tactically be the top tier build. The top tier build will still remain to be Hydra, and I do already have that build for you guys. But if you want to try something else out new, this is a very fun build that I can highly recommend, and we're doing Tormented 4 content and just absolutely blasting. Basically, you shoot something once, it's frozen, then other things get shot and then frozen, and then it causes a chain reaction with the Ice Heart Brias pants. So that's essentially what is causing all of the big explosions. So first off, let's go over the gear, and then I'll go over the skills, and then we will go over the different variants, because we're going to have a mythic version, and we're going to have a non-mythic version, as well as like a more push-oriented version that I'll provide for you guys. So for starters, as far as the gear goes, there is one thing in particular that you need to get before this build kind of becomes up online, and that is the Hail of Verglass. So what it does is it makes it so Ice Shards is going to shoot out with additional shards, and you get a huge multiplier with this, and it goes up to 100x. Now this does not just include the Ice Shards, it will include all the damage that you deal, which is awesome. So that's the one important piece of gear that you need, and then the other important piece of gear that I really recommend you guys to go ahead and actually acquire is going to be these pair of pants called the Ice Heart Brias. So what these do is it makes it so you can do the chain reaction. So once one thing is frozen, if that thing does die, there's a chance that it'll unleash a Frost Nova. That Frost Nova will then freeze everything else. If they die, it's going to, again, start a chain reaction. It is a 40% chance at the max roll, but there really isn't a huge need for the rest of the stuff to be like greater affix. The only good other greater affix really is getting that maximum life. And on the Frost Nova size, you want it to be at least 69 on the drop. The reason why the exact number 69 is because when you masterwork it, as long as it's at least 69 when it drops, you do not need a GA. It will get 100, and you can't go beyond 100% of the Frost Nova size. That's how we're getting these massive Frost Novas that are just detonating and going crazy. And it's not Frost Novas that are dealing the damage. What actually happens with this combo is actually with one of the skill enchantments. So one of the enchantments that we run on this build is Ice Shards, and how it works is Ice Shards automatically shoot out towards these frozen enemies. So that's how sometimes I just freeze one thing, and I could literally just walk, and then it'll just kind of start a chain reaction, and as long as these Ice Shards that shoot out can freeze and then kill another enemy, it causes more chain reactions. Again, it's super satisfying to actually play. If you haven't played Ice Shards ever with the pants, try it. I promise you, it's like a brand new build, and you're going to absolutely love it. And again, it can absolutely delete the open world and T4 content, and if you want to do pushing, I haven't really tried to min-max this build. I recently just made this character literally yesterday, and I've been having a blast with it, but I would say you can comfortably do pit 70 pretty easy, and then once you get higher than that, just like a lot of builds, it's going to take more than 2 minutes to clear them. But I have in the gameplay, most of the stuff is about level 50-ish as far as the glyphs go. I have one glyph, I believe, at level like 60 something, but the rest of them are pretty much level 50. Like I just got basically 46 so I can get all of like the legendary bonuses in the gameplay here, but there's still huge room for improvement here. But as far as the skills go, this is what I like to play. I like to play Flame Shield because you need to activate Talrashas. Then we use Ice Shards. These are pretty much the only skills that I really use in combination with Teleport for mobility, but I just activate this to activate Talrashas, and then the other skill is just mobility. These other skills can be interswapped for any Ice or Frost skill, and the reason why we just slam a bunch of Frost skills on is for each Frost skill on our bar, we get a damage bonus from one of the things on the passives. Now, if you want to play Unstable, you can play it for extra attack speed, but it's kind of hard unless you have really good masterworking and perfect like pieces of gear to kind of have that up. So I decided to make this like a lazy version where you don't have to really get your gear really good and you can kind of play. I will have like another build that has the Unstable. If you want to run it, it does give you more attack speed, but it's just something that you have to micromanage, and I like to just play without it. It's just a lot smoother, and then you're still getting a good damage multiplier. And you're seeing that we don't even have Frost Nova on our bar. So again, the pants are going to be activating, but if you want to put it in here, you can. You can swap out one of these skills if you want to, but that makes Tactician require you to have more uptime on activating your other skills. This is why this is like the lazy version that I really recommend. I'm going to, again, put several variants here. But for the enchantment slots over here, again, you do not need to push these. There's also like Blizzard that's on the bar. You don't need to push any of those at all. You can kind of mix and match any frost skills. It doesn't really matter. Just if you do play another defensive frost skill, that means that you will have to activate your defensive skill more frequently. Basically, what it comes down to is everyone wants to play teleport and everyone wants to play flame shield. These are like non-negotiable. The optional one is either ice armor or frost nova, or you can not run both of them. If you want to run one of them, that's fine, but if you run double, then Tactician will only have a 4-second cooldown versus 8. It's in the Paragon board, which we'll talk about. And then also Ice Shards, again, I already mentioned this, it just shoots out, and then this is to apply even more chill, so we're going to get lots and lots of chill here in this build. For the itemization, I already mentioned, you want to have the Hail of Verglass, and then we want Shroud of False Death, Fist of Fate, we want Lucky at Chance because it's going to be a way we can apply Frozen, and that's just excellent for that. And then we want the Ice Heart Brias Pants. These are super easy to get. Just farm Gregor, you're going to get them. And then Penitent Greaves, also, I believe, from a Gregor here, which gives you chill slow potency. So that's how I'm freezing everything like instantly, just constantly, 24/7. Everything is just shoot once, everything's frozen, everything's popping. It's good life with this, plus you get more damage on it. And then we want to run a two-hander, and we want to put the Aspect of Piercing Cold in it. It's just going to give us extra damage. And then we ideally want to get those chance for Ice Shards, triple Masterwork. In the gameplay, I actually only have it one time instead of triple, but you can see it's still perfectly fine. It's at like 50% when you only hit it once. You can't really get 100%, but you can get pretty close if you do triple Masterwork it. But it's one of the most annoying things in the game is, of course, Masterworking. Again, I literally have one hit on my current setup in the gameplay that you guys are seeing. Then again, Frozen Memories, this got a buff. If you can get Icy Touch or Glass Cannon, cool. Crit Strike Chance, and those are all great things. One thing that's kind of different here, we do want to try to get a total armor here, because otherwise we won't really get closer to the armor cap. Now, if you really want to get to the armor cap, you can swap out the boots here and get boots with armor, or get a flat roll, not a temper, and you can still get basically full armor here. You also use incenses to kind of get closer to the min-max. I have like 875 armor, and I'm totally fine. Sorc is super OP this season in terms of survivability with Bottled Wind. And then we have Tal Rasha's Iridescent Loop, which is in every single build. Ideally, if you get a J with cooldown, that's the go-to, and then Starless Skies would be the ideal choice over here as well. Now, moving on to the runes, we play Ahu and Gar. This is going to give us extra crit because we do play a lot of uniques, so it's hard to get that maximum 100% crit, so this makes things much easier. Then I play Neo and Vex just because I really like having the plus to all skills. It's just great for a lot of different things to get extra cooldown. It's just a great little setup that I play in almost every single Sorc build. And then for the Horadric powers here, we play Propulsion just so we can have a bunch of uptime. We play Glacial Nimbus, or you can play the Shadow one. That's another great option just to get some damage reduction, but I figure since it's kind of a cold build, let's go throw in more freezes. But you can see everything is pretty much just permanently frozen. And then we play Floaty Bubble for more mobility, but honestly play any other power that you want to. It has to have that tag, and I'll explain why in a second. Then Bottled Wind is just so fantastic in every single build this season. It's just 50% of your HP as barrier. And then we also play Tranquil Stone, which will grant us Unstoppable. So we're basically immune to CC forever because this uptime is every 3.3 seconds, and this lasts for 5 seconds. So therefore, you are never going to be hit by crowd control, which makes the build feel really smooth, and I love it. As far as the gems go in your weapon, well, you ideally want to put a rune word in your weapon, but if you don't have it, you throw in the emerald, you can throw in topaz. Seal of Power is why you got to play the 2 powers here, and that's going to really help out with your, again, critical strike chance. And the reason why is your other ring has to be Tal Rasha's, and then getting your crit up is kind of hard. You can run Air of Perdition also in this build, but I like to have 100% crit because it is a great multiplier. And then, just like most builds that are elemental, we want Scornful Light, and then we also want Idol from Below, just give us extra primary stat, but this is actually pretty huge. So any cold build in general really requires you to have things crowd controlled, and or if you've killed recently with like a frost skill, whatever, there's a lot of bonuses that are based off of certain things. And these little things that spawn in can really help out versus bosses. I mean, honestly, Hydra is like the better boss build, but this thing just helps out actually quite a bit for specifically that reason. But yeah, Idol from Below is fantastic. Now, moving on to the skill tree, I'll go ahead and make this a little bit bigger here. So the first 2 points, we just want to put it in Frostbolt. We don't really equip it, but we want Ice Shards, and then we want the Greater Ice Shards, so it's going to automatically have these Ice Shards ricochet and do some extra damage, which is great. We also want to get some extra damage here, so as long as we cast it above our resource, but you can see the resources are no problem. Just 1 point to flame shield, and then I like to max out teleport and getting that damage reduction. And then with ice armor, you can go with either one, with shimmering or mystical. It's kind of up to you. And then you can get frost nova over here. We want the mystical one. It gives you extra damage and also makes them vulnerable, but your gloves will already do that. Then we want increased lucky hit chance for something we'll explain in just a moment here. Protection here, just again damage reduction. This is the main reason why I love this build so much. So we have increased duration of barriers. We have extra chill while we have a barrier. So this is another like way to chill. And this is the reason why I love this build. Snap freeze. So this is why we actually get Lucky Hit and Fist of Fate. So what this does is it gives us a 21% chance. It's actually more than that because we have the Shroud of False Death equipped, and that's going to give us a chance just to instantly freeze the enemies. Now, it's not going to just instantly work against any of the world bosses or any of the bosses in the pit, but it does build up to the stagger. And then this is also something that's newer. It used to be only for like pyro skills. Inner Flames got a buff a while ago, and that was something newer here. And then again, if you want to play Unstable, you can play it. You just get it for literally the attack speed. That's the only reason why you play it. And then the reason why we just slam as many frost skills as possible is elemental synergies, so we just get more damage here. And then we get cooldown reduction and all the damage here. This last one has to do with generating mana, but the build has no mana problems at all. But if you want to, I guess you can throw in there. You can also run Reactive Ooze. And then we play the brand new buffed Avalanche. So this got a buff over there. Again, it shows this 25x, but the new number here is 138. So that's the big bonus over there. And then for the Paragon board, the last part, so we're going to be running Tactician. So this is why I drop one defensive skill. I don't care what defensive skill that you drop, but it has to be either the Frost Armor or the Frost Nova. You cannot run the build without Flame Shield and Teleport because you need to run those for Tal Rasha. But run this one over here, and it's like perfectly set up so we don't waste any points, but we get all of the good nodes over here. So Tactician in the starter board, then we go into Control, and we get Frigid Fate over here. Control is going to give us bonus damage to crowd control. That's why on bosses, Sorc and Rogue kind of suffer in that department because you got to build up that stagger bar. And then we have Fundamental Release over here. It just gives us a bonus for damage. And then we also throw in the Winter over here, and it's just going to give us a bonus to the yellow nodes. And then Icefall with Destruction. And since this area has the most amount of dex, we lock in over here because the dex has the highest multiplier. It's crazy that some of the nodes are like 13% increased damage, while this is 43%, but that's why we lock it in right here. And then we get Icefall, just increased damage over here. And then you get bonus damage. Again, it has to be frozen, but this build is going to be Elsa from Frozen. Everything's going to be frozen. And then the last one we get is Exploit over here, which like I said, it's like 13 versus 42% is pretty big difference here. So that's why we lock in this one pretty much the last. Don't worry about filling out all of like the small nodes, especially on Exploit. It's just if we're gonna show it off at Paragon 300, I'll show it off. But for the most part, don't worry about filling this one out. This one is like the last one that you really want to fill out. But you do want to get this. Enchantments are stronger, but you also get a 20x bonus for each of the enchantment if it's the same element. So that's why we lock in and we run double of the frost here. Now, I don't really care what the second one is, but the first one has to be Ice Shards. You can play literally whatever you want. If you want to run Frozen Orb, you can. Frozen Orb actually did get some buffs too, but that's going to be for another build guide because you can't really mix two skills. I actually tried it. It was not bad, but it's just better just to run straight into Piercing Cold versus dropping Frozen Memories and running the aspect of the orbit where the orb pops twice. We'll also make a Frozen Orb build. So if you want basically to get two builds out of kind of one build, if that makes sense, all you need to do for this is really swap this and run the aspect for the Frozen Orb one, and you basically have another build. But I'll test it out and let you guys know what one is kind of better, but I'm gonna guarantee this one's way more fun. Again, once one thing is frozen, you can see like big chain reactions, and because you run Reactive Ooze, or if you need resources, run that. But another thing that's really fun is the Floaty Bubble, and what it does is it teleports you to the enemy. And another thing that I do want to mention before I sign out of the video on how Hail of Verglass works. Normally, Ice Shard shoots out in a straight line. It's like a rapid fire. It's in a straight line. However, when you have this, it spreads out with additional shards, and then it ramps up for each of the enemies that it hits with the aspect of Piercing Cold. You get an additional 10x per subsequent enemy hit, and since it like ricochets and goes crazy. But the thing that's excellent with Hail of Verglass, think of this kind of like a shotgun, so you get kind of close to the enemy and it shoots, and it will hit all of them with the same like activation of it. So what really helps out, sometimes it's kind of bad, I'm not going to lie, against bosses because there's an AoE on the ground that does damage, but because you happen to have lots of shield, it should be a-okay. But with Floaty Bubble, it will teleport you right in front of the enemy. That's sometimes me going in with floaty bubble, it's not even I'm using teleport. It's just this automatically teleports you to the enemy. But what it does is it lets you get close and you can just instantly just start shotgunning the boss. Maybe you teleport away and then it'll teleport you right back. If you don't want to run this, that's totally fine. There's actually several different variants. And again, I'll pin them all down below or the link in the bio if you're watching this on TikTok. But anyways, that's going to be the build, guys. It's a really fun build. Have some fun. If there's any ways to improve the build, let me know because I always like trying to update my builds. But this is a really, really fun build, guys. Anyways, enjoy. If you're new here and you want to see an update to this build as well as the frozen orb buffs, because well, there's a lot of just cold buffs in general is what we got recently. So I'm going to be dropping that build guide very soon as well. But anyways, take care and I'll catch you gamers in the next video. Peace out.